Corbett. What's behind your wall? What's behind your wall, Harvey Corbett?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. We live in a very complex world. Needless to say, all you have to do is turn on your television, crank up your computer. You can see. And to get through all of this and to cope with the situation, many times we have to ask questions. There are comical questions, some questions that are really amusing. For instance, there's a commercial. An individual says, "What's in your wallet?" You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
However, there are more perplexed and complex questions, and some of these questions are even provocative. Very similar in nature. And I'm going to give you an example of that. What if I ask you, what's behind your wall? And I'm asking you, what's behind your wall? And as I look at the audience, I see various responses, and they should be various, because the question is somewhat complex and provocative, causing us to think, causing us to arouse some emotions in many cases. And I see on some faces, duh. I see on other faces, that's a dumb question. And I see on some faces, what walls are you talking about? You see, when we talk of walls or speak of walls, we think of physical walls. Many of us arrive today safely in mobile walls. And walls are designed to protect us. Sometimes to protect the good from the bad that's outside. And sometimes it's just the reverse, to check, to test, or to protect the bad, such as prisons, from the good on the outside. So there are many walls with many objectives. To illustrate my point, I'm going to go back in history to some extent. You see, history is replete with examples of walls. There was the wall of Jericho. How many of you remember the walls of Jericho? Not too many of you read the Bible, I suppose. Well, there was the wall of Jericho, and I'm not going to ask you how it was destroyed. Many of you are probably like little Johnny, parochial teacher, will ask him, what happened to the walls of Jericho? How were they destroyed? Little Johnny looked at the teacher and said, I don't know, but I didn't do it. You see, the walls of Jericho were constructed before the children of Israel were entered into the land of Canaan and promised milk and honey. The walls of Jericho protected the vegetation, and it was all about selfishness and protection of what existed there and what people thought were important. We could go, that was about 1400 BC. We can go to about 400 BC, and there's the walls of Babylon. The walls of Babylon were to protect the sin city of Babylon. In that city, there was a corrupt church. They worshipped idol gods, prostitution. Some of you might think it was like Las Vegas. But anyway, there was these huge walls, 56 miles, that protected that city. And that wall was destroyed just like the walls of Jericho. Modern times, there's a wall of China. Extends 13,000 miles from Shanghai to Mongolia. Wall was built to protect the Silk Road, to protect the interests of China. But the wall was subverted, and Genghis Khan came by, took it over with his own use. And there is the Berlin Wall, some of you might remember. Wall built upon false pretense. That wall was built to keep the fascist imperialists from the socialist state, when in fact it was just the opposite, to keep the good people in Berlin from the good on the outside. These are all physical walls, but there's a wall that I have not mentioned to you or about. It's the walls that's in our mind. The walls that we have that protect us. They are just like physical walls, except they have no dimension. These walls are very imperative to our day-to-day existence. Robert Forrest talked about these physical walls and the need for them. I have a poem, not like Frost, that talks about those mental walls. And it goes like this. What's the point of building and mending walls, I say, when in fact they will crack and crumble one day? Now that that day has come and been, few of those walls still stand, faithful to the protection of what lies within. However, anxious is to escape. Is my heart and soul from this jail that these walls impose. But where would I go and what would I do in search of all that's good and true? You see, it's fear, Paul, that haunts and follows the soul. And where would I go without these walls? What would I do without these walls? What would I be without these walls? Fellow Toastmasters, I don't know what type of walls you have. Maybe your walls are like the walls of Jericho. Maybe your walls are like the walls of Babylon. Could be anything. But this I do know, that what you were yesterday is contingent upon the walls that you had built yesterday. What you are now are contingent upon the walls that exist for you now. And what you will be in the future will be contingent upon the walls that you build in the future. So I ask you the perplexed and provocative question in closing. What's behind your walls? What's behind your walls? I hope you answered that. Thank you.